However, I couldn't bring myself to leave. This company wasn't just a job to me, it was my second home. I had spent all of my 20s here, working side by side with people I respected, under leaders who cared about their employees. The idea of walking away while everything was falling apart made my heart ache. Still, things continued to spiral. The new president, Tom, began bringing his daughter, Sophie, to the office more frequently. She was around 20, stylish, and arrogant. She barely greeted anyone, spending most of her time scrolling on her phone or criticizing employees. One afternoon, she came over to my desk and said casually, "You should probably start organizing your things. I'll be working here full-time soon." I forced a polite smile. "Oh, are you joining the clerical team?" She smirked. "Not exactly. Dad said he'll make me the manager. You can show me what you do for now, though." That was the first time I realized she wasn't joking, she genuinely believed she'd take over my job. Over the next few weeks, Tom and his daughter grew bolder. They dismissed Kelly's husband from his site manager position, claiming he was too controlling. Without his steady leadership, site operations became chaotic, deadlines were missed, invoices were delayed, and clients started complaining. Tom's solution? Just blame the workers, fire anyone who talks back. The employees were furious but powerless. Most of them had families to feed, and jobs were scarce in our small town. They came to me quietly after hours, asking what would happen next. All I could do was reassure them that things would somehow work out, even though I no longer believed that myself. Meanwhile, Tom continued to drain company funds. He bought himself a new luxury car, charged hotel bills, and treated his gambling buddies to expensive dinners, all under business expenses. I knew the numbers didn't add up anymore. If things continued this way, the company would be bankrupt in a few months. One evening, I stayed late to finish the supplier payments. The next day, the 20th, was payday for both our employees and suppliers. As usual, I double-checked every record, ensuring that longtime partners received their dues on time. I didn't want anyone else to suffer because of Tom's irresponsibility. That's when I received the message. "Emily, come to my office right now." When I entered, Tom sat behind the desk with a smug grin, Sophie standing beside him with her arms crossed. He leaned back in his chair and said, "My daughter is joining the company, so I need you to resign. Today is your last day." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard him. "Excuse me?" He chuckled. "You've been here long enough. Sophie will take over your duties from now on. You look tired anyway. Consider this a favor. I'm letting you go before you mess something up." My heart sank. "But today is the supplier payment day. We can't just." He waved his hand dismissively. "We'll handle it. You look like you can go home right away. I'll give you the day off, just for you, so leave quickly." Then, before I could say another word, he stood up, opened the door, and practically pushed me out. The door slammed shut behind me. I stood there in the hallway, frozen, still clutching my folder of invoices. The sound of the door echoed in my ears, followed by the distant hum of machines from the factory floor. For 10 years, I had given my best to this company. I'd worked weekends, covered for others, and even defended Tom to the employees when he first took over. And now, I was being thrown out like trash. But the most painful part wasn't losing the job, it was watching what the company had become. The same place that once felt like a family was now collapsing under greed and arrogance. As I walked out of the building, a strange calm settled over me. I didn't know what the future held, but deep down, I sensed this wasn't the end of my story. I looked back at the company sign one last time and whispered to myself, if they think they can destroy everything we built, they're wrong. I'll make sure the truth comes out. Little did Tom know, the payments, the ledgers, and every shady transaction were already recorded, and soon, the consequences of his arrogance would come knocking. Would you like me to continue the next part, where Emily exposes Tom's fraud and turns the tables on him? I continued to endure the long, tense days at the office. Every morning, I told myself, just hold on a little longer. It wasn't pride that kept me going, it was loyalty. Loyalty to the chairman, who had always believed in me, and loyalty to the team who depended on me. The younger employees would struggle without someone to manage the paperwork, the payroll, and the suppliers. Besides, I couldn't afford to lose my job so suddenly. Rent, bills, and my aging parents depended on my paycheck. So I endured. Each day, I kept my head down, working late into the night while Tom spent company money at hostess clubs and horse tracks. Sometimes, I could still hear the echo of the chairman's voice from better days, encouraging, kind, always reminding us that the company was built on trust. That memory was the only thing keeping me grounded. But one morning, everything collapsed. Tom called me into his office. His daughter, Sophie, stood beside him, smirking with her arms crossed. The air felt heavier than usual. Without warning, he said, "My daughter is joining the company, so I need you to resign. Today is your last day." His tone was casual, like firing someone was as simple as tossing away a used piece of paper. For a few seconds, I couldn't speak. "You're firing me? Without any notice?" He nodded, grinning. "You look like you can go home right away. I'll even give you the day off, just for you. So leave quickly." The words stung. After 10 years of service, that was all I meant to him, a disposable clerk. I took a deep breath and steadied my voice. "I can't do this. I can't just walk away without handing things over properly. Even your daughter wouldn't be able to handle the accounting workload. Besides, today's payment to our suppliers." He cut me off with a sneer. "Shut up. I told you to resign because my daughter's taking your place. As for payments, let them wait until they come begging for it. There's no need to pay up front." "Excuse me?" I blinked in disbelief. "That's not how business works. We've had long-term partnerships with these suppliers. Paying late will destroy our credibility." Tom slammed his hand on the desk. "Then threaten them. Tell them we won't pay this time. Let's see if they still want to deal with us." I stared at him, speechless. "You can't possibly mean that. That's fraud." He smirked. "You're useless. You think you're irreplaceable, but my daughter has a college degree. She can do your job with her eyes closed, and she won't question my expenses like you do. Now get out." It was clear now, he wanted his daughter in charge of accounting so he could funnel personal expenses into company costs without anyone stopping him. I clenched my fists but kept my composure. "If that's what you've decided, I won't stop you. But don't expect me to regret leaving." And with that, I gathered my things and walked out. I didn't even look back. Once outside, I called Kelly. Even though I knew she and Catherine were busy at the hospital with the chairman, I had to tell her everything. "He fired me," I said. "But please, check the payments, I've left everything ready." She thanked me and promised to handle it. After hanging up, I stood by the bus stop with my small box of belongings, feeling the weight of exhaustion mixed with strange relief. For the first time in months, I could breathe. The next morning, I woke up unsure of what to do with myself. I had always built my days around the company, checking schedules, managing invoices, solving last-minute issues. Now, silence filled my apartment. Technically, being fired without notice was illegal under labor law. If I reported it to the Labor Standards Office, Tom would face serious trouble. Since our company was registered under the Middle Company Payment Protection System, I could claim severance pay and 1 month's salary through official channels. I didn't need to rush. I had up to 5 years to file, and the statute of limitations was 2 years. After years of overwork, maybe I finally deserved a break. So I decided to take a day trip to the beach. The sea breeze washed away the bitterness. I sat on the sand, watching waves roll against the shore, and thought, maybe this is the universe's way of setting me free. When I returned to the locker room and checked my phone, I saw dozens of missed calls and messages. One was from Kelly. "The payment process went smoothly. Everything is in order." I smiled in relief. But then, another voicemail caught my attention, Tom's panicked voice. "Hey, what's going on? They're saying I'm not the real president. Did you know about this? Explain yourself." I couldn't help but laugh. He had finally discovered the truth. That evening, I went to the hospital. When I entered the chairman's room, Catherine sat by his bedside, and Tom was pacing back and forth, red-faced and shouting, "Hey, what's going on? I'm not the president? Explain yourself." The chairman's voice thundered, "Enough." The room fell silent. He looked at me and said softly, "Emily, I'm truly sorry for my foolish son." Tom frowned. "What's going on here? You said I was president." I spoke calmly. "Tom, you were given the title of president, but you were never legally appointed as the representative director. The representative director is the one with legal authority. That role was never transferred to you, it still belongs to the chairman. What? Tom blinked, his arrogance fading. I continued. 3 months ago, when you were appointed, there was opposition from many employees. That's why I suggested keeping the chairman as the legal representative until you proved yourself worthy of the position. We never filed the legal paperwork for your promotion. The chairman nodded. Emily was the one who saved you from being completely rejected. I trusted her judgment. Tom's voice trembled. So, I'm not the president? But I've been making all the decisions. The chairman sighed deeply. Decisions you had no right to make. Then, his voice hardened. This company belongs to its shareholders. Emily owns 10% of the shares. You, Tom, own none. Tom froze. What? None? I planned to transfer some shares to you once you proved yourself. Instead, you fired the one person who still defended you. Catherine finally spoke, her voice trembling with emotion. I thought my son had changed, but I see now that Emily was right all along. Tom's arrogance shattered. He fell silent, staring at the floor. The chairman turned to me. Emily, I'm sorry for everything you went through. What do you wish to do now? I took a deep breath. I no longer wish to work under Mr. Tom's leadership. I'll resign officially, but I expect full severance, 1 month's salary, and payment for my overtime. As a shareholder, I will also recommend his removal at the next meeting. Tom's face turned ghostly white. You mean, I could be fired? Yes, I said evenly. You could. The chairman nodded. It's over, Tom. You've lost everyone's trust. Tom shouted in desperation. I'll sue you all. But the chairman's voice was calm and final. You have no authority here. You're not the representative director. Tom collapsed into a chair, defeated. Weeks later, the company was officially dissolved. The chairman couldn't bear to see his legacy tarnished any further. Tom and his wife tried selling corrective underwear on their own, but it quickly spiraled into a pyramid scheme. They were soon investigated, fined, and eventually arrested for fraud. When Kelly came to clean out their old house, she found boxes upon boxes of unopened underwear, symbols of their greed and downfall. As for me, I joined Kelly and her husband's new company, a smaller but honest business, built on trust. Just like the old days, the workplace was filled with laughter again. Every now and then, the chairman visited us in his wheelchair, smiling proudly as he watched the team work. You saved this family's name, Emily, he told me once. I smiled back. No, sir, I just tried to protect what you built. And in that moment, I realized I hadn't lost anything. I had simply found my way back to where integrity still mattered.